All right, just a couple quick tips on programming, just basic stuff. If you're new to programming, hopefully this will be a little helpful for you. So we're in an environment here. This is Python that we're coding in, and I just have two variables: first name, last name. Assigned him the value Joe Smith, just random words or names there, and then we're just going to print the last name and then print the first name. So the first tip is really make sure you check your spelling on your variables. So as we can see here, first name. And we should probably actually make these capitalized and maybe not use the underscore. In this case we did, but if you look here, first name, if I go down here, first name, and I do have to change my spelling there, but this one, last name. Okay, so see how last and then there's an underscore. There is no underscore for this one, and so we're going to get an error. So very first thing, for one of the most important tips, is really make sure you check the spelling of your variables and that they're spelled correctly whenever you use them. Okay, that leads me to my second tip, which is when we run this, of course we're going to get an error because last name is not spelled correctly, and we run this, we're going to get an error. Make sure you read your errors. So this is the second tip, is make sure you read your errors. So it says name error. It says name, last name is not defined. Did you mean last name? Some environments won't actually give you this tip. It'll just say not defined. But this is really helpful, right? So it tells us on line 4, did you mean last name is not defined? And so I can go ahead and change that spelling, and then of course it's going to work, and we're going to get Smith and Joe and print those two out. But then the last tip is this: if you don't have an environment that gives you that help, or there's something else in your code, you have an if statement or a loop or something like that, and it's not working, one of the best things you can do, if I'm running this, I'm getting this error, let's say it doesn't actually give me any help, it just says error. Well, then one of the best thing you can use is comments. So I can comment this line out, and what will happen is that removes it from my program. I can check to see if my program works, and make sure that I can zero in on where that error is. So now when I run it, my code's going to actually work. I'm like, oh, okay, well now I know that it's something with this line that's causing the error. So using comments is really helpful, because you can take out the area that you think might be the problem and see if your code does run. Using comments is incredibly helpful. And that would be my third tip for you, is use comments. And obviously use comments too to leave breadcrumbs of what your code is doing. So I would leave a comment up here that these are my variables. Okay, and down here, this is my output. Okay, things like that. So leaving variables, really, really helpful, but they also, not just in like naming what's going on, but also to remove certain segments of code to make sure that, so you can narrow down where your error is. All right, hopefully that helps you. Good luck with your coding.